All right, so how should Bob and Mary manage their accounts in retirement using the barbell strategy? That's what we're going to talk about here today. All right, so they're both within 1 year of retiring. This is a couple I was working with today, as a matter of fact, which is what's prompting my this video right here. So let's go into this. Right now, they got about $1 million in pre-tax money. That's IRAs, 401ks, and whatnot. They got $300,000 of cash, and they got nothing in after-tax money. So they're going to retire next year. All right. So the question that they're asking is like, well, what do we do once we burn through this cash? What should we do then in terms of working the barbell? And on top of that, with Roth conversions as well. So it's pretty interesting. It's they actually got it set up perfectly, frankly, where they are. Now, we want to dive into this a little bit deeper to make it even more perfect. Can you improve on perfection? Yes, you can. We'll show you how. But the interesting thing is they've done exactly as they should. They've really been burning down some cash, or they've been adding to their cash pile in the last couple of years before they retire. They've been adding to cash, adding to cash, adding to cash. So now they're sitting on $300,000 a year in cash. All right, so that's fantastic, fantastic. Again, roughly $1 million in deferred accounts, 401ks, and whatnot. All right, so here's a scenario. We're going to say it costs them $50,000 a year to live. All right, $50K a year to live on. Now, they're not going to have Social Security for about 7 years if memory serves, basically 7 years, okay? So they're not going to have Social Security, and that won't, how much was Social Security is going to give them? About $40,000 a year. So Social Security is their need. $40,000, I think, in Social Security is what they'll get. So they're still going to have a $10,000 per year income need. All right, but that's not going to happen until 7 years from now. So in the next 6 years, essentially, they need $50,000 a year. All right, so every year they're going to take $50,000 from this bucket to live on. So year 1, year 2, 50, year 3, 50, year 4. Now we're not inflating this just for simplicity. 5, 50, and year 6, 50. All right. So now they got that's $300. So after 6 years, this is gone, and now Social Security is going to kick in now, but they still need $10,000 a year of income. All right. So what's happening is they have enough cash to live on until Social Security kicks in, if that makes sense. Now, it's not quite as smooth as this, trust me, but I'm just kind of showing you the example. So now remember, because it's in cash, this comes out tax-free. Tax-free. And on the live stream I did yesterday, I was telling people that I want to stress to people that, look, when you're living off cash, you have nothing on your 1040. I mean, if you have $1 million in cash and you're living off $100,000 a year, you have 10 years where you have nothing on your 1040. You have no taxable income at all. It looks like you're freaking just poor as the day is long because you have nothing on your taxable income. In this case, they got nothing on taxable income because it's coming from cash, right? Now, at the end of the day, at the end of 6 years, the cash is exhausted, and thus the barbell has been, quote unquote, violated at that point. Well, the interesting thing is here they got about, I think it was $250 in bonds and $750 in index stocks. All right, so this is the freaking the three bucket approach, and perfect. Enough cash to get by for a number of years. Once that cash is gone, all right, they tap into these bonds. In the interim, they start converting $50K a year over to the Roth. $50K a year over to the Roth. So basically what's going to happen is $50K, I'm going to get my trusty calculator. $50K, 750 divided by 50. That's going to take 15 years. So I think they're 60 years old right now. So in 15 years, they'll be 75 years old, and they'll have $750,000 in Roth. Now, this is assuming no growth, just for simplicity. All right, so what's happening, though, so in years, they still need $50,000 a year to live on after this. Actually, they don't need $50,000 anymore. They only need $10,000 a year anymore. So by the time they're 67 until 75, because when they're 75, all this other money will be in Roth IRAs, essentially. They're going to live on $10,000 a year to come from this account. All right, so they need $10,000 a year. So $10,000 Let's see, we got 67 to 70. They need 8 years of 10,000 a year, if that makes sense. So what we're going to do is we're going to say 250 in bonds. Well, we're going to make 80,000 in complete cash. All right, so 80,000 in cash, and then we're going to make the rest 170 in bonds, if that makes sense. So what happens now? This will be gone in 7 years when they're on Social Security. They need 10,000 a year. We're going to move from this. We're going to move the remaining 250 that's in bonds. We're going to move $80,000 of that to cash, a stable value fund, a short-term bond fund, just a good old-fashioned cash account, a Ginnie Mae mutual fund, something like that. But I actually like cash. And they're going to keep the rest in Ginnie Mae. That's what I would recommend, VFIIX. In the interim, they're moving their stocks over to the Roth IRA. Every single year, they're paying tax on the $50,000. So even though we said we're only living on $10,000, well, they're going to have to generate a little bit more cash from here in order to pay the taxes on the Roth conversions. But it won't be much, man. I mean, $50,000 of taxes of taxable income, plus Social Security, married filing joints, a couple $1,000 bucks. All right, so what the question they had is, okay, that's great, Josh, but what happens when everything is over here? All right, so now this is X'd out because 750s in Roth. This has been completely X'd out. We spent all that, or we've moved all that to the Roth. What do we do here? Because they have no more cash, no more IRA, and here's easy. You say, look, man, you need 10,000 a year. You take 80,000 bucks or 50,000 bucks. 50 is probably a nice round number, so let's change that. Oops. To 50, nice round number. That's 5 years of cash, right? That you need, and you got 700,000 in stocks. You can have cash in a Roth IRA if that's the only account that you have. It's okay to have cash in a Roth if that's the only account you have. In this case, the only account they're going to have left is this right here. They have run out of bonds because they've been spending it, and then they converted the rest. They've run out of cash because they've been spending it. In this case, they only have a Roth. So that means they have no taxes at all. Roth and Social Security is the best retirement plan there is. I'm just telling you, it's not taxed. Social Security is guaranteed income. You get your Roth to grow like freaking crazy, man, and you keep enough cash inside your Roth in case you need access to it. It's perfect. And when you pull that money out, it's tax-free. You're not getting growth, but you are getting growth on the remainder of the portfolio. This is the perfect retirement account. Roth and Social Security, you can't beat that at all. And if that's the case, and you need a barbell, which you do, you still have the barbell even if it's in a Roth for sure. That's okay. What we don't want, and this is why these guys, how they set themselves up is freaking perfect. We don't want these 250,000 of bonds going into your Roth and then spending down stocks. That doesn't make any sense. Do not have bonds in your Roth and stocks in your IRA. That doesn't make sense. We don't want bonds in the Roth and stocks in the IRA. Immediately, you should go and say, how much bonds do I have in my Roth? How much stocks do I have in my IRA? And switch those two out immediately, because you always want to tap this guy first. Always want to tap the IRA first. Never mind the fact there's no RMD on a Roth. There is RMDs on a pre-tax account, but Roths do not have RMDs. Never mind the fact we need income. You got to get income from someplace. You want to take it from your most tax disadvantaged account, which is your traditional IRA. So if you have stocks in your IRA and you also have bonds in your Roth, switch those out immediately. Anyway, this is a great plan. Hope this makes sense. I'd love to hear your thoughts. See ya.